What's going on? Fizz. Back with another video. Snappers. So this video is going to be about the third eye. Discussion. Let's talk about it. What I think about it. Ultimately, let's start out. I think there's eyes all over the body. There's the one between, of course, the eyes, but there's also the one above the head. I think there's one in the chest, mid-chest, belly button, and whether you got a penis or a vagina. Because they all look like eyes. Some of them, the last two, the latter that I mentioned, they actually look like eyes. And then there's some that you can't see that, you have no clue look like eyes, but they're just called that. And the reason that they're called this is their visualization and their feelings, their experiences. So your third eye is just, I feel like people stretch it out, make it more drastic than it really actually is. Because all it really is, especially your third eye, is your intuition. And it's as simple as that. It's that inner voice that you have, that's saying no, this is the way. This is what I'm following. It's not necessarily a thought. It's more of an instinct thing. It's just spontaneous. You didn't really think about it. But it might happen for you to become more aware. Again, it's a feeling and experience. But once you become in tune with your environment, because you are one with the environment and everything around you, it's all the energy and the waves and the vibrations. It's a feel. That's what life is. And that's why it ends. Because it's an experience all about. And do what works for you and not others. Once you start getting into your third eye, you start maybe listening to it more. Because it's a choice. The reason we fall away from that though is because we're not connected to our food source in nature as much. And we're not developed completely to our best being. Example of that would be not being breastfed and having vaccines in your body unwillingly and not needed. Those are just examples. And if you grew up, if you ever heard of Plato's Cave, I'll use that as I think it's called an allegory or analogy. But I'll also bring it to another spectrum, but I'll use both. In Plato's Cave, they were always in a cave but never seen the outside world. So they don't know, and they were always fed their food. They never had their food, and they never really seen any light, except there was a fire behind the people that were chained up, and they only seen the shadows, and they just manipulated the shadows to see on the wall. That was the only light they had in this cave. And the people that were handling them left them in this cave. And then one day, they let one person out. Just think about that. If you were always inside of a box, and I'll explain that analogy real soon. But eventually one of the people that were in Plato's cave got let out and seen what life is, and he was just amazed. But especially because of the light, he's never really had the light like that. So that's just incredible, though it is just a story. But then he went back and tried to tell them, or like, I don't know if they let him back in or sneaked back in, whatever. But they didn't believe him, and they just laughed at him because this was the only life they know. And I don't want to say, because you can argue what's natural and not, but they didn't really live a natural life. They couldn't move. They couldn't really exist necessarily. They weren't getting their food. They weren't exposed to light. You could even say maybe fresh air. Just like in the city, this is where I'm coming at, in case you never heard of Plato's Cave. Just when you live in the city, you don't really, especially like dense ones, you know what I mean? You never really got out of the city and seen what's outside of there. Nature, you know what I mean? And how things naturally are. You know, you become in a box and almost like sometimes you can't escape, especially when they're playing this money game, an economic game, and everybody's trying to tell you what to do. And you know what I mean? You grew up in the city, you were a baby, you've always lived here, you know, and then all these other influences and programs and conspiracies and being told what to do and what not to do, and just feeling peer pressure all along, just getting at the core of you, and you almost lose your natural touch and instinct, and some do, and they lose their senses. So like, we're put into this world, some of us, because it's not all of us, but some of us are put into this world, and we just don't, we never seen these other things. We never experienced where our food's coming from. We never actually got our food, you know? We go to a store and there's just all this food from all around the world for some of us, and we don't know you don't know what to eat, you don't know what's local, you don't know what's organic, you don't know was it grown with love, how they grew it, is there chemicals in it? And then there's just so many foods in the store as is. There's processed foods, and then you got natural foods, but then it's from all over the place, and you're just confused as fuck. And then like, just this is how it ties to the Plato. This is all you know. So how could you know anything else? Unless you maybe, then there's that natural feeling that will always be there, that instinctual feeling, that innate wisdom. Then you might question it. You might just naturally want it. You might just kind of want to know. And then you might just stumble upon it, knowingly or unknowingly. And you might not want to find out, or even ever want to know, but then it might just happen to you. And that's the greatest part about life. When you want something, you'll get it. Especially if you're healthy and you're following your innate wisdom. Because your health is your greatest wealth. Because once you have health, you can control everything and manipulate everything that you ever wanted to do. Because life is a dream. Everything comes from inside. You got to make sure you're feeling good from inside. So listening to your inner self, you know, then you develop a pattern and routine, like the flow, the zen. Like, oh yeah, I'm like, you know, I'm listening to myself, everything, perfect timing. It has nothing to do with a clock or a time that you see on a watch or a phone or an oven. It's just about the movement and the way you're articulating, and like, you know, something's gonna happen. Like you have that feeling like, I'm filming a video, you know, and then like you just keep going. But then there's that point where like, you know, should I stop or should I keep going, you know? And then you have that feeling like, oh, I should stop. Like you'll get into that flow once you follow, and then like things will just keep going and flowing into that. Like you'll just keep listening, and then like once you get healthy, it would naturally be there, and you won't question things. They'll just be, you'll be curious, and you'll just really enjoy it, the generosity. And you know, like, you won't be confused. You'll be in the moment, completely involved, have focus, that laser sharp focus, concentration, and overall feeling. And everything will just hit you perfectly. So the perfect timing isn't something, I mean, I guess it could be very well calculated, but it's just a feeling of naturally doing things and coming in, you know, like, should I leave now or should I not? Like, no. There was a feeling that you had that you said, I should leave now, and you didn't leave. Now, I don't want to say it was a negative consequence, but something happened or arose that you shouldn't have been there for or experienced. I mean, you did because you made that choice, but you weren't following your intuition. But that's the whole blessing of a mistake or an error, so we can get on that path, you know. And I don't even like to call that a mistake and mistakes and errors, because they're the same as succession or successful moves, takes, tips. Because you can't have one without the other. But once you reach that balance and listen to that third eye, the intuitive wisdom, then everything comes together, you know what I mean? Everything's just flowing, you know, like I said, it's something you feel, as in expressing it can be very different and difficult, especially for some people. That's why people give you ways to try to get there. But the thing is, I'm telling you, it's inside of you and you have it automatically. So overall, the third eye is just, to sum it up, intuitive listening and wisdom that follows a path in creativity that you're on. Instead of planning the day almost seems to plan itself in an unplanned way, which is miraculous and spontaneous. So listen to yourself at the end of the day and feel that wisdom. If you're not feeling it, you know, watch some of my other videos to get you there. Whatever makes you feel alive and in the moment and naturally good all the time. And don't do something you don't want to do, which is hence the whole thing. And everything will come. That is also like the law of attraction, if you want to touch base on that. It's just like, once you start, you know, you go look for a girlfriend, or you could go, you know, you're looking for all these things, but all these things are inside of you. You just gotta build it in the outside world, if that's what you want to do, because they're already all inside of you. Everything's already here. So once you start getting in that path and flow, then like everything else will come its way when it's meant to be, and whether it is meant to be or not. Like, you know, once you're doing what you're doing, that girl will come that you may have been looking for, but you don't need to look for, because she'll come to you. When you're doing what you want to do and what you love to do, you know. whether it is like the next move will precede the next move, and you'll just get into these grooves and fall in it, and everything will just be there, and it will seem so magical. You could have never even imagined this before. I'm not going to toot your horn on this, so I'm going to leave it at that. Link in description for further contact. Let me know how you feel. Get a consultation on health, on help and advice spiritually. Fizz. Let me know how you feel below in the comment boxes. Give a like and subscribe. And I'll see you, young snappers. Peace. Have a great day. I still have to shut the camera.